Remember to click like and subscribe and the notification bell to stay updated on new content. My husband is on vacation with his mistress right now, and I'm confronting them. Hello there, Reddit. Please forgive my ignorance since I am new to the online community. I just wanted to share my story and maybe receive some feedback. I'm a 37-year-old woman who discovered last month that my husband, a 38-year-old male, was using business travels as an excuse to sleep with his married co-worker who lives across the country. When I say it unintentionally, I mean he showed me a screenshot of Amazon purchases for our children, with a delivery to this woman at the bottom of the photo. So, as a concerned wife, I investigated his search history and email. Everything was right there. His previous vacation in November was a romantic getaway, but this one is opulent. A spa resort providing couples massages, culinary classes for couples, and monogrammed bathrobes from Etsy. He sent her a box of Christmas gifts a few days ago, very lovely, bought seductive lingerie, sent her money via Venmo, and even started organizing a January trip to Las Vegas. I was upset when I discovered all of this, but I kept my cool. My plan: he left this morning for his business vacation, but not before I gathered every evidence of his affair. I collected emails, credit card transactions, reservations, and confirmations for 4 weeks. I wrote him a 10-page letter, enveloped it, and taped it into the lining of his bag. I intend to send a group text to him and his mistress shortly after check-in, wishing them a pleasant journey. I'll also tell them that a note is in his suitcase and that I'm filing for divorce. I made a particular section for her and want to make sure she sees it, so I'll also email her the letter. He is currently flying. This evening, my group SMS will be sent. Keep an eye out. Update. His plane touched down 1.5 hours ago. He promised to text me when he arrived, but he has yet to do so. I texted him twice, both times, they were delivered but not read. I reviewed our phone records and discovered that he texted both me and her throughout his layover. His email contains no Uber receipt from the airport to his hotel. He must have been picked up by her. Something I should have clarified in my first post. He is visiting the state where she lives. As a result, he flew alone. I'll send a group SMS to both him and his mistress in 2 hours at 4 p.m. their time to check in. Update number 2. I sent him photos of our children, but he did not answer. He is, by the way, in the midst of the desert. My texts are being routed through green, which throws a hiccup in my plans to send a group text to him and his mistress. Suggestions are required. Should I make a phone call to the hotel? Connect to their room directly. It needs to be tonight because I worked so hard for it. Help. Update number 3. Thank you to everyone who is watching and waiting. My dearest friend has arrived to my place to assist me. My SMS appear to be going through green, undeliverable, yet when my friend tries it, it is blue and delivered. He has stopped me? That must alleviate his guilt. The next step is to contact the hotel. We'll make the call after a few minutes after checking in. Quite soon. Please be patient. Update number 4. He doesn't care, as most of you predicted, and he had no replies to my questions. That was the most upsetting aspect. But guess what? I have all the emotional and financial support I need, therefore I'm not mad. Because his mistress was present, he did not respond to any of my questions. I anticipate his answers will differ when he is alone at home with me. I'm confident that he won't screw me over emotionally or financially because I've enlisted the help of family and friends. He's free to fuck himself. 5th update. He dialed his hotel room number. I finally lost it after talking to his mistress. He called me a few minutes later and showed no empathy. I'm surprised, but not surprised. He declared that a divorce was necessary and fought me over nothing. I anticipated him to be sad, but he wasn't, and that's fine. I started packing his crap, and I had a terrific friend who assisted me in putting everything in the garage. Good riddance, perhaps? I suppose so. The next morning. This morning I awoke broken. My house is in ruin because I went on a rage-fueled frenzy yesterday, pulling photos off the wall, piling his belongings on the floor, and shattering random furniture. After a good night's sleep, I feel a little clearer in my thinking as I reflect on the talk we had yesterday. On the phone, he was different. That was not the man I knew, but who had been the man I knew. Because it was all a lie. On the phone, the only thing he cared about was getting the kids. That's fine, he should want to see his children. But he refused to answer any of my questions or admit anything. Personally, I believe his lack of guilt stemmed from the fact that he was sitting in front of his mistress. This would not have been his attitude if I confronted him at home. I expect to see a different man when he returns home Monday night. In addition, I discovered through the mistress that she was just divorced. I dialed my mother's number. That was difficult. While Mom and my father have always been loving and supportive, making that phone call was difficult. I felt inadequate. I knew it wasn't my fault, but admitting that I made a bad marriage choice was difficult. Was it all due to a blunder I committed 13 years ago? It doesn't really matter. I have 2 days to get out his belongings from my home. Who should I tell? Should I contact his father? Do I inform his mother? Your best friend? Work colleagues? I wish there was a how-to handbook for this since I'm completely clueless. Despite all of my planning, I am still humiliated. Fortunately, he did not take his house keys with him when he departed. So there's no need to replace the locks. I'll simply take his keys and send him on his way. I'm not expecting to see him when he gets home Monday night. Doors are locked, everything you possess is in the garage, have your people speak with my people, and I'll never see you again. Getting ready for the return. My friends and family have been amazing. I'm so fortunate to have such wonderful individuals in my life. They arrived yesterday to assist me in moving all of his clothing to the garage. His collectibles were all packed up and ready to be appraised here. It took a long time and left me fatigued, but it was important. I honestly don't think he expects me to go to such measures to get him out of my life. Because I was so emotional when I confronted him, he may believe I will want to reconcile. You have no chance, buddy. His flight arrives just before 10 p.m. tonight. The doors will be locked when he Ubers back home. He told me over the phone that he was just getting into his car and driving away. That is something I will hold him accountable for. I should have emphasized previously that the house is solely in my name. When we first started looking, he had no credit, so everything is in my maiden name and was purchased by me. My name is on everything: health insurance, car insurance, cell phones, and utilities. His automobile is the only thing with his name on it. I believe he now knows that it could all come back to bite him. I don't want a contentious divorce, so I'm willing to listen to his demands and attempt to find common ground on as many issues as possible. He plainly doesn't care anymore, so I'm going to try not to care and treat this like a business transaction. The dust has fallen. His comeback has been a couple days. For a man who meticulously prepared a hidden hideaway with his mistress, he wasted no time planning his return home. Since Monday, he has been living in the basement. I let him watch the kids unwrap their presents on Christmas, but he has since returned to the basement. We have contacted 3 mediators and will begin the mediation process next week. It's clearly over. Upon his return, we had a conversation/argument, and he really inquired about reconciliation. I burst out laughing. I couldn't stop laughing. Of course, he shifted the responsibility, claiming that our marriage had been in disarray for a long time. That's brand new to me. His adulterous behaviors were selfish and avoidant. He didn't want to have the difficult conversation with me about counseling or divorce, and this path was much easier and more enjoyable. Let's face it, he enjoys the attention of 2 women who adore and lust after him. So, I'm no longer participating in that game. She triumphs, and what a gem he is. I've been cooperative in discussing the terms of our divorce. My main issue is with her. He may continue to see her, and I have concerns about her character. What kind of woman/mother cheats on her husband and knows he has children? Last Saturday, when I approached her over the phone and asked her the question, she remained silent. When I asked if she was sorry, the call went dead. That is not the type of person I want around my children. People who exhibit no remorse, even when they are wrong, are unkind. I found comfort in friends and family, and I appreciate everyone's recommendation of Chump Lady. I'm about halfway through the book and have read through the website, which has been quite useful. Thank you once more to everyone. I'm speechless with the outpouring of love. Sorry if you believe I'm an unfit and inattentive wife, but cheaters cheat because they want to. Thank you again to everyone. I'm not sure if you want an update on the mediation or if my narrative is ended. In any case, I'm glad to have meet you all. Where is the defect located? If you listen to the literature and advice given on cheaters, They all say the same thing: it's not your fault, they chose to cheat. My STBX insists that everything was awful. While I don't believe we were Pam and Jim or Lucy and Ricky, I believe we did okay. This process has forced me to reconsider who I am, who I have been, and who I want to be. Could I have made alterations? Yes. Was I flawless? Certainly not. But my choices and behaviors were never harmful to our marriage. They resembled sacrifices. And now I'm being chastised for making those sacrifices, and I'm being labeled a slacker. Is it all about gaining attention? A narcissistic need to be the center of attention? He and the AP are currently on their honeymoon. Vacations, late-night phone calls like teens, gift buying, and so on. What happens, though, when the other shoe drops? What happens when she notices his lack of patience with children? That he will stroll right past a sink full of dishes, utterly unaware of them? When he doesn't pay his phone bill for 2 months because he's too busy buying frivolous gadgets. So, what now? While it isn't my problem, I'm sure his AP will object to these things. Maybe she'll be put in the same scenario I've been in for a decade. Should she be the glue that holds everything together, or should she abandon obligations because of his dependency? He, someone who is in a relationship and spends significant sums of money on someone else, has told me that I am to blame. Maybe, but what about the decades you've spent cleaning up your messes? Maybe things would be different if I had 2-hour discussions with him every night, but to be honest, I'm glad I'm here. Now when I look back, I realize how underappreciated I was. I was so neglected. I believed I was assisting all year, but I was really being taken advantage of, and tonight is no exception. Just a word of advice to all the folks reading this who are cleaning up after their spouses or making excuses for them. Stop. Stop right now. All of their helping is merely them learning how to control you, I've discovered. Make a line in the sand. Prepare for an awkward situation when they begin to falter under the pressures of everyday life. But don't get too carried away. Years ago, I lost myself, and it's not a place you want to be. The Move and Mediation. Yesterday, we had our first Zoom mediation session. It was friendly, but mainly because I don't want to fight and just want this to be finished. He appears to have no desires. He doesn't care about the house, the furniture, or what he's entitled to from my pension. He just wants to be done. I've been offering him stuff as I've been packing up items in the house to clear, but he doesn't want anything. I suspect that the moment our marriage ends, he will pack his belongings and go across the nation to live with her. I suppose I should be okay with this because I no longer want to be married to him. It just saddens me that he'll be moving in with her and assisting her in raising her 2 children while my children are fatherless. It irritates me greatly. Seething. The man who was abandoned by his father is now repeating the same behavior. Something he said would never happen because of the mental challenges he now has. That, along with almost everything else, appears to have been a falsehood. Again, I find solace in the fact that their honeymoon period will be brief. Reality will hit them both square in the face, and she will realize that he can cause more harm than good. While I wish him well and wish him the best, our children deserve more than a Christmas/Easter/summer vacation father. There will be no father at basketball games, Cub Scouts, birthday parties, or school performances. Meanwhile, AP will have him as well as the biological father of her children. Nothing in life is fair, I suppose, and my boys will have to learn that lesson sooner than I had anticipated. He's no longer there. My STBX went early yesterday morning to pay her a visit. I told him to go. I didn't want to spend New Year's Eve with him, and our COVID circle friends with whom we celebrate have no desire to see him either. He booked a flight 30 minutes after I instructed him to leave. My sole need was that he return this weekend because it is my birthday and I desperately need a day to myself. I thought I deserved to rest on my birthday after watching the kids for 3 weekends while he went to see his mistress. He texted me while boarding to say he wouldn't be home for my birthday. So, then? He claims he booked a return flight for the evening of my birthday. When he tried to replace it, he was told it would cost $1,000 to change, that it was a red eye, and so on. The explanations kept pouring. He appears to be unaware that I have internet access as well, and that airfares with the airline he flew are less than $300. When I told him this, he replied the flights weren't available when he booked, lying, and that he would take care of it. I simply want him to be truthful. Simply state that you will not be present for my birthday. Just let me know if you don't want to spend the day with your children. I can't make you become a parent. I told him the flights were available and reasonably priced, and it was up to him to rebook. The ball is now in your court. Isn't that all I can do? Stay tuned for an update on his weekend return. New Year's Eve nightmare. It was 12:40 a.m. on New Year's Eve, and he had still not called. I was enraged because I told the kids that even though Daddy wasn't with us, he would call at midnight to talk to them and wish them a Happy New Year. I was designed to be a liar. So I texted my STBX, and his explanation was that they were with their friends, and I didn't want to bother them. Please excuse me. What bothers them? What you truly mean is that you didn't want your children to annoy you. If I had been across the country without my kids on New Year's Eve, I would have called and done the countdown with them via FaceTime. Most parents, I believe, would. But not for him. If you had told me you were going to call the kids, he added, I would have. He tried to blame it all on me, claiming that I caused the disaster. Why do I have to remind you to contact your children at midnight? This tiny gesture meant a lot to me. Our children do not come first. He probably didn't want to disrupt his beautiful holiday at his new girlfriend's place with her kids. He now has a lovely new family. My birthday is today, and he will return this evening. I informed him in my New Year's Eve text that I'd see him on the 12th, our next mediation meeting, because I'm done. I try to be nice for the sake of the children, but he is not making an attempt for them. To be continued.